what? It's just a really encouraging start to the season for the Chicago Cubs. I'm Mark Grote. Welcome into the Daily Score. Cubs are 6-3 overall now after taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers at Wrigley Field. And that's where I want to start my 5 things on the Cubs segment here today. The Cubs, number one, they're doing this in the cold and in the nasty, and in past seasons, we have seen the Cubs suffer because of the cold. Obviously, other teams have to play in it, but you never really see the true team until the warmth starts to occur. Cubs scored 18 runs in those 3 games at cold, nasty Wrigley Field against the Dodgers, where they took 2 out of 3. 26 runs against Colorado. Now, Colorado has big-time problems, but that was still in the cold, nasty weather at Wrigley Field, where you just don't expect that kind of output from the offense. So that's a big deal right there. And it serves a practical purpose because it's helping cover up a huge hole that exists for the Cubs right now, and that is 2 of their best pitchers, Justin Steele, their ace, and Jameson Taillon, are out right now. So runs are your absolute best friend. That takes away an issue from Craig Counsell and having to do the juggling that he will have to continue to do. Now, they're not going to get away with it all the time, and I think that until they get those 2 starting pitchers back, there's going to be at times we are going to see things being exposed. But what we are seeing from the offense, it would appear at times, is going to help cover that up. So that's really good. That's my number one. Number 2, Michael Busch. We haven't really talked about Michael Busch much, and I love his swing. Yesterday, in the blowout of the Dodgers in the rain-delayed game, it was what inning was it? I got my notes here. Well, it was 2 outs, a 2-2 count, and he bases loaded. He clears the bases. It was just a 2-seamer tailing off, and Busch just goes with it. It was just absolutely gorgeous. Busch had his first home run in the series against the team that he came up in, the LA Dodgers. So that was pretty cool in the first game of the series, another big win. So a little love for Michael Busch and what we're seeing from him early on. And what an unbelievable recognition of a player that would be if, Michael Busch does continue to thrive. I know every once in a while we got to say things like it's early. So there it was. I did it. Number 3, I have Kyle Hendricks is what I wrote down here. And here's the question specifically. How will Craig Counsell continue to use Kyle Hendricks? And when I say that, I don't mean, is he going to be sent to the bullpen? No, I'm saying as a starter. Game 1 of the series, Hendricks was roughed up badly 3rd time through the lineup, keeping in mind that it is the Dodgers. Should point out that Drew Smyly was great in cleaning that up after that. But let's focus in on Kyle Hendricks. I mean, I think Counsell has to think twice now about 3rd time through the lineup. And Hendricks was not having – I think he was dominant up until that point, but he was smooth. Nico Horner made that play that saved 2 runs. So you have to add that into the play. That Nico Horner play was unbelievable, by the way. The game on Friday, check that one out. But it's just interesting, something you got to track. Every manager has had different philosophies on how they've used Kyle Hendricks. I know that sounds kind of crazy. It was pretty easy for Joe Maddon, but Joe Maddon, as we know, and was, most symbolic in the World Series, always had a quick trigger, it felt like, on Kyle Hendricks. And he'd let him go, but it felt like, maybe in the overall, the numbers wouldn't bear that out, but there were times when Maddon was just, once he started to get hit, when Hendricks started to get hit, Maddon would get really antsy. And I think that Craig Counsell is still probably figuring that out. But I'm anxious to hear more about Kyle Hendricks and what Craig Counsell actually thinks. So that's 3. What else? Oh, yeah. Shota Imanaga. I feel like we got ripped off a little bit because in his second start, his start yesterday against the Dodgers, shortened by the rain. But he had a really good outing. So it's 2, the first one was electric. This one was very good. 4 shutout innings. allowed 2 hits, struck out 3, 0 walks. Most impressively, he had a 6-pitch third inning against the Dodgers. He had a 4-pitch fourth inning against the Dodgers, and then that would be it for his day. I wish we could have seen more from Imanaga and see if he could have, gotten a little bit more out of it. But I guess in the long run, it's good. The Cubs won the game, and you didn't have to use Imanaga too much. But we all know how important he is, and anybody that starts right now, because again of the injuries that the Cubs have. Last thing. I was just looking at the schedule, and here we go. 3 long road trip, 3 in San Diego, 3 in Seattle, 3 in Arizona. This is, the first legit mega road trip of the season. I'm sure there's a day off involved in there somewhere. I know they go right into the game tonight, and all of those teams right now that I just mentioned, obviously, expectations big time on Arizona, who they'll see. They're 4 and all these teams right now. Arizona 4-6, San Diego 5-7, Seattle is 4-6 as it stands right now. But you just never know. Things can get crazy on those West Coast swings, and sometimes you see some bonding and all of that. I mean, I've seen it like in my time with the Cubs going on those trips. Families are often a big part of those trips because why? Because it's like a cool ass vacation, man. I mean, that's a trip. Like San Diego, Arizona, and Seattle. Yeah, this is the trip we're taking the family on. So you see a lot of that. It's a true getaway. I don't really know how else to explain it for the players, just from what I experienced when I was doing pre and post with the Cubs. But that's my 5 things on the Cubs. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys listening to and watching the Daily Score on a daily basis, and I appreciate the executive producer of this show, Ray Diaz. Thanks, Ray. I'm Mark, and this is the Daily Score.